The morning sunlight slipped through the cracks of the old wooden window, covering the room in a soft golden hue. On a thin blanket, a 6-month-old baby stirred in deep sleep. This was little Sue, the fragile angel who had become Feng's entire world. She quietly got up, held the baby in her arms, and prepared the last bottle of milk. Fear gnawed at her heart. The milk was almost gone, and her pockets were empty. But when she looked into Sue's wide, trusting eyes, that fear melted into determination. "You don't have to worry," she whispered, as if reassuring herself. "I'll find a way. No matter how hard it gets, you'll never go hungry." The baby's tiny hand wrapped tightly around her finger, and in that gentle touch was a silent vow. They weren't bound by blood, but the bond between them was stronger than circumstance. When the bottle was ready, Feng draped a thin scarf over her shoulders and stepped outside, Sue resting against her chest. Ahead lay a winding dirt road, curling through dew-drenched fields. Today she would gather cassava leaves to sell at the village market. The money wouldn't be much, but maybe it would be enough for porridge for her child, or, if luck was on her side, a small box of milk. The future was uncertain, but her steps did not falter. On her back, she carried not just her child, but a fragile hope for tomorrow. The path to the fields carried the faint scent of damp earth and wild grass. Sunlight filtered through the canopy, scattering golden patches across the ground. Feng stopped beneath a tall tree and gently laid Sue down on a piece of cloth. "Stay here, sweetheart. Just for a little while," she whispered, her heart tightening as she stepped away. She had chosen a spot free from insects, though Sue's tiny hands still reached out as if trying to hold her back. It tore at her to leave, even for a moment. But the truth was cruel. Without vegetables to sell, there would be no food, no milk, no tomorrow. Taking a deep breath, she walked into the rows of lush cassava plants. The tender young leaves gave off a familiar earthy scent, bringing back memories of her late mother, who had once gathered these same leaves to survive the lean seasons. Now that burden rested on her shoulders. Her hands moved swiftly, snapping stems and collecting handfuls of green leaves. The rustle of foliage blended with the distant songs of birds, a humble symphony of survival. Sweat traced down her back, but her eyes never strayed far from where Sue lay. Every whimper, every small movement pulled at her, urging her to rush back. Still, she told herself, just a little longer. Hold on. This is for her. In her mind, she pictured a future, Sue taking her first steps, learning to laugh, learning to call her name. That dream alone steadied her hands and strengthened her resolve, even under the harsh sun. By late morning, the sun blazed fiercely overhead. With Sue strapped to her back and her arms full of fresh cassava leaves, Feng hurried along the bumpy dirt road, knowing wilted leaves would be worth nothing. The market buzzed with sound and color. Vendors called out prices, knives clattered against cutting boards, and the air carried the sense of roasted corn, fresh fish, and herbs still damp with dew. Finding a small corner, she spread out an old cloth and neatly arranged her bundles. Sue's wide eyes darted around, captivated by the chaos of life unfolding before her. A middle-aged woman stopped, examined the leaves, and asked, "How much?" 5,000 a bundle, Feng answered softly. The woman smiled. "They look fresh. I'll take one." Gratitude swelled inside her as she handed over the bundle. To others, it was just pocket change. To her, it was survival. One by one, customers came. Some passed without a glance, but others stopped, perhaps moved by the sight of the thin young mother and the baby in her arms. They bought without bargaining, some even slipping her a little extra. Each time, she bowed her head, voice trembling with thanks. When the last bundle was sold, relief washed over her. In her hand lay a few crumpled bills. Not much, but enough to get them through another day. Sue giggled, her tiny lips curling into a smile as if she somehow understood. Beneath the scorching sun, Feng lifted her gaze to the vast sky. For the first time that day, she allowed herself to believe. Perhaps faith and perseverance would be enough to carry them forward. But peace didn't last long. That afternoon, as she returned home, a figure was already waiting at the door. Her sister-in-law, stern, disapproving, stood with arms crossed. "So this is where you've been hiding?" the woman snapped. Feng clutched Sue tightly. "We're fine here." "Fine? You call this fine? Picking vegetables, scraping by day to day, raising a child that isn't even yours? You're wasting your life." Her words cut like a knife, but Feng's resolve did not waver. "She has no one. I can't abandon her." "You're still young. You should be helping the family, planning for your own future. Who's gonna marry you if you keep clinging to this orphan? Hand her over to someone else. Be sensible." The baby whimpered, sensing the tension. Feng soothed her, then replied, her voice steady though her hands trembled. "No. I choose to keep her. That means she's mine to protect." Her sister-in-law lost patience. She grabbed Feng's arm. "Enough! Come home now and leave this child behind." Feng flinched, clutching Sue tighter, her eyes blazing. "No, I won't. She stays with me." In that moment, two worlds collided, duty and expectation against compassion and faith. The air grew heavy, silence pressing down, broken only by the soft cries of the child. "Please, calm down." A voice came from the doorway. A tall man with sun-weathered hands and steady eyes stepped forward. Man, the owner of the house where Feng was staying. His presence was firm but never threatening. "And who are you?" the sister-in-law demanded. "I'm the owner of this house. She and the baby live under my roof. If you disagree, speak with respect. Don't shout, and don't grab her like that." The woman scoffed. "Respect? That child isn't even hers. She's throwing her life away." Feng's voice caught in her throat, but her resolve held. "The baby is innocent, sister. She needs me." Mutt stepped closer, calm yet unwavering. "Maybe she's not bound by blood, but she's still a child. A life. And if Feng chooses to raise her, that choice deserves respect. I've seen her strength. I stand with her." The sister-in-law's face hardened. "She's a fool." "Sometimes," Mutt said quietly, his gaze resting on the baby, "it's in sacrifice that we find the truest meaning of life." His words struck like thunder. For the first time, Feng felt she wasn't alone. Her sister-in-law sighed in frustration, then turned away. Let her ruin her own life if she wants. When silence returned, Fung's chest rose and fell, heavy with both relief and fear. Sue whimpered softly. Maten's voice softened. As long as you're here, no one will force you to give her up. Follow what your heart tells you. I'll help you however I can. Tears spilled down Fung's cheeks. For the first time in a long while, she felt the weight lift, just enough to breathe again. The story of Tiao Fung and little Sue is not over yet. There will be more hardships, more uncertain days ahead. But within the kindness of a stranger, a spark of hope has begun to shine. Sometimes, just a small act of compassion can be enough to change an entire life. What about you? If you were in Fung's place, would you have the courage to raise a child that isn't your own, even if your family stood against you? And do you think the sister-in-law was completely wrong? Or was she simply trying to protect Fung in her own way? Share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And don't forget, if this story touched your heart, please subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss the next story about kindness, resilience, and the strength of human love. Thank you all for watching. From the very beginning, her life was nothing but hardship, poverty, loss, and prayers that seemed to vanish into the void. But even in that darkness, there was always a glimmer of light, the grace of God. He never abandons the weak in spirit. He protects orphans, guides the lost, and whispers courage into the hearts of those who feel forgotten. This story is not just about survival. It is about faith, resilience, and the quiet ways God's mercy shows itself in everyday life. Before we begin, if you find stories like this meaningful, please subscribe to the channel. Every subscription helps us continue sharing stories of kindness, perseverance, and the unbreakable human spirit. Now, let us look back on the journey of a young woman named Tiao Fung and her 6-month-old daughter she vowed to protect. With nothing in her hands, and with a road ahead that would test her to the very core, her heart still burned with determination. Guided by faith, and strengthened by the child who had become her reason to wake up every morning, she stepped into a life where every single day was both a trial and a triumph.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người, hôm nay chúng ta cùng đến với Tiểu Phương. Sau những tháng ngày vất vả thì Tiểu Phương đã tìm cho một cái nơi tạm trú, đã được một người đàn ông hiền lành giúp đỡ, và những ngày tháng sau này cô đã tìm mọi cách và mọi công việc để kiếm tiền để nuôi cô bé bị bỏ rơi. Hôm nay Tiểu Phương sẽ đi hái rau sắn để mang ra chợ để bán, để kiếm những đồng tiền lẻ để mua sữa cho bé. Và khi bán xong thì cô về nơi ngôi nhà cô đây đang tá túc thì bỗng dưng người chị dâu đã xuất hiện. Người chị dâu này chỉ muốn cô ấy quay về và bỏ đứa bé ở lại, muốn cô ấy quay về để phụ giúp gia đình, để kiếm tiền nuôi dưỡng gia đình nhà cô ấy. Cô không hề quan tâm gì đến đứa trẻ hiện tại này. Tôi thấy bà chị dâu này rất là độc ác và nham hiểm, và Tiểu Phương đã quyết định không rời đi và không bỏ bé Su ở lại một mình. Cô đã lựa chọn nuôi bé Su. Mọi người thấy cái video này hay và ý nghĩa thì hãy cho mình một lượt thích và một lượt like để mình có thêm động lực để sản xuất ra những video hay tiếp theo. Xin chào mọi người ạ.